Hey traders, good morning. Edison here with the Edison Trading Collective. It's about 10:30 or so Central Time here on St. Patty's Day, March 17th, 2022. Go have some green beer at the close, right? But hey, wanted to catch up pursuant to my note on Twitter earlier. I really sort of stepped in it today, and I ended up green, but we shouldn't conflate the fact that this was a good trade. I want to make that very clear. This was a really horrible trade that I just happened to manage well, but um, I should have probably had a four-figure loss today. It's what I deserve. But I didn't, and I guess I should be grateful for that. And kind of just wanted to walk you through what I did, why I did it, what my intent was, how I managed the move against me, right, wrong, or indifferent, and go from there. So I'd made mention earlier in pre-market on Twitter that, by the way, I keep referencing Twitter. It's at Trading Edison is my Twitter handle. If you want to check me out over there, I generally post quite a bit more on Twitter than I do on YouTube. Anyway, so out of the open, Tesla was sort of just trading again sideways through pre-market in a super tight range. It was in the middle of a sort of this no man's land daily range. I had said, hey, I think there's some room up to 855 if we can get clear of 840 with some strength. And well, I think I was off by about 27 cents. The high was 854.73. So charts do matter. They're not always perfect, but they certainly do matter. And I thought to myself, if we could get clear of the lows, that we could probably see like 805 today. And so my intent was to really chase 805 to the short side. I traded the 840 puts today. The 840 puts today. Liquidity wasn't great on them. There was higher liquidity and higher volume on some lesser priced options like the 820s or something like that. I think we're really going off with a lot of volume. But the bottom line is I just don't like to be out of the money on Thursdays and Fridays. As I've said in previous videos, Mondays and Tuesdays I'm okay with being a little out of the money. Wednesdays I really want to be tight to the money. And then Thursday and Friday I want to be well into the money. Just works out better for me, and I don't mind paying a higher price, particularly if I'm paying for less premium. I find that the moves against my trade, if I'm more in the money, have lesser effect. If I'm out of the money, it really does tend to crush premiums, and don't really have to deal with that on Mondays and Tuesdays. At least I've found that. But in any event, I don't mean to ramble on here. So let's get to the trade. Out of the gates, by the way, I tried to take 3 trades today, and that's, I think, a meaningful piece of information, because I think the fact that I didn't get filled on the first 2, and the first trade would have been a pretty nice one, and then I didn't get filled on the second one, which ultimately probably wouldn't have worked out great, but it would have been better than the trade I took. So let's talk about that. Tesla kind of rips up, throws in this huge upper wick, and puts in this sort of pretty solid red candle. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna hit this thing short underneath the 832 candle, and get short here for hunting new lows and see what happens. Right. Again, here's my plan: to get underneath the number and hunt 805. And certainly it looked weak, right? It throws in a huge upper wick, and then it puts in a big red candle, and then it immediately goes below that candle. Well, I didn't get filled. So, okay, fine. I just sat on my hands. It throws in this big bottom wick, and I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty strong. And it goes up here, and it starts to show some weakness again. And I try to get short right here on the 837 candle as it breaks, roughly these, the 831.50-ish level. Meaning this sort of consolidation point right here. And I didn't get filled. And I'm like, golly, that's nonsense. And look what happened. It really wouldn't have really worked out. Of course, I didn't know that when I took the trade. But it pops right back up, and I say, okay, well, maybe I got saved there a little bit. Well, fast forward a couple minutes, it keeps throwing in these huge sort of upper wicks, and I'm like, this thing just looks weak to me. So I went ahead and got short right here on the 839 candle, thinking and anticipating it was going to break this 833 level, and I was going to hunt new lows. Well, it rips against me, as you can see, and I I am now squarely in the red, and I almost closed the trade. And frankly, I should have. I should have closed this trade for a loss. But this candle here, which ultimately made a new high, was a single green candle, and it ripped, and I just never get out when something rips against me so quickly. RSI was ridiculous at that time, and then RSI just continued to climb through this move here, and I just sort of stopped. I just sort of stopped trading at that point, and started analyzing, okay, where is the RSI? Where is this thing likely to go? Is this thing going to roll over? I definitely don't want to close the trade out when this thing's at its top. And I did find an opportunity to add some here through these dumps, and that's the only reason I was able to get myself back to basically break even. I ended up with 12 contracts of the 840s through this nonsense, and made about 33 cents or 34 cents of profit, throughout the different buys and sells that I had. And it was just a horrible trade. I should have taken a $15,000 to $2,000 loss today. Meaning I could have easily have taken a $1,500 to $2,000 loss today. And you just never ever want to find yourself in a situation where you're risking $1,500 to $2,000 to make $341. And of course, you all know this, and of course I know this. Two real factors to me. One, I was frustrated I didn't get filled, I think, after I'm looking back and sort of just thinking back to how I was thinking at the time. And I just never move out on moves like this. And that was sort of the catalyst that pushed this thing up into the 845 range. My patience or lack thereof both worked in my favor and against me today. So that was a kind of a unique dichotomy. But I just don't want anyone to leave this video thinking that this was a good trade because I made $341. It was not a good trade. I was impatient. I was irritated that I didn't get filled, particularly on this first one, because that would have been premiums really spiked on the 840s, and that I would have scalped that move, and I would have probably done pretty well. I think 4 figures, or real close to it. And when I didn't get filled again the second time, I was frustrated. And then I just sort of had in my head that this thing's going to roll over, right? I mean, it goes up, makes a new high, and throws in all these upper wicks. And, of course, I didn't have cloud alignment on the 5-minute, and nor did I really have SPY support. The SPY was kind of just chopping around here. So that's it. I shut it down immediately. I've been really frustrated the last couple weeks. I cannot find follow through, and I cannot find the big moves. They just are taking so long to resolve, and it's just not how I trade. And hey, I guess thankful that I didn't do something really dumb, that I was really on top of this trade. I was really intent on making the most out of my ultimately bad decision to open the trade when I did. It did not make a new low. I did anticipate it, and I do that, and it generally is okay for me, but when I'm wrong, it does put me in these tough spots, and so I continually evaluate and back test sort of these things when I do weekly reviews. Usually I do that over the weekend, sometimes at night as well. Of course I always review my trades every day, but I usually go into a more in-depth session over the weekend when I've got some time. I enjoy doing it. I love to trade, and that's sometimes my biggest weakness. I love to trade, and I hate not to trade. And, today is a day where I probably shouldn't have traded at all. And because nothing was super clean to my eye. I mean, certainly there was great opportunities, and I said, hey, if we can get clear strong of 840, we can probably see 855. Well, boom, that's exactly what happened, right? And comes up here, sells off 845, goes down, finds some support, and rips to 855, right? And so that was a great move. I mean, that was a nice. You could have easily made made an argument to get long here for a push over 845. That's a pretty clean setup, right? Or to maybe even jump the move a little bit on this candle here, the decision candle there. Clearly, it was holding above the clouds and everything was looking good. The SPY was going up, and I just was kind of ended up counter trend today, I suppose. And I don't generally trade counter trend. It's not my strategy. It's not what I aim to do. Just a litany of frustrating situations, and then a poor decision, and Fortunately, I do sort of have the fortitude and the belief in my ability to manage a trade that I found my way into a flat day rather than taking a really big red day. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I probably will be thinking about this all day, and probably won't really have a clear understanding of all the things that I did terribly wrong today until I go back and maybe review things tonight and with a little bit clearer head. This has been just days upon days upon days of frustration for me, and it's starting to show itself. I maybe shouldn't trade at all tomorrow and just sort of take a long weekend and relax. Clearly, things are not really working out for me. I'm making them work, but that shouldn't be confused with things are working out. I think those are two totally different statements. Just because I was green doesn't mean it was good. And I think that's a great example of this. So hopefully someone learned something from this, that maybe they don't make the same mistake that I did, because this could have been a really, really ugly day. But it wasn't, and gonna just put the dunce cap on today and go back and study tonight, and probably through the weekend pretty hard, and look forward to next week, and and of course tomorrow. I'll look at things tomorrow. I'm not giving up on the week. I mean, I'm still on a 9-day green streak. It's just been really, really difficult for me to find my way into green days, and that doesn't feel good. So because usually when that happens, you're just one mistake away from taking a really big loss. At least that's been my experience to date. So that's it. I hope you all have had a great open. I wanted to be transparent. I always am transparent with you all about what I do well, what I do poorly, how I got lucky, how I didn't get lucky, when I made money, when I lost money. I report it all unscripted, and I think it's the best way for me to learn and continue to get better. And I think it's the best way for the ecosystem to understand what is good and what is bad on the whole, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can trade. There's a lot of different instruments, and there's a lot of different things that you can do to make money in this market. But I think there are principles and fundamentals that are germane across all of those situations, all the instruments. And this was an example of something that I think nobody should generally do, and that is adding into losing positions. That is a very, very bad habit to find yourself in. Thankfully, it's not a habit for me, but it is something I find myself doing from time to time, and I'm really disappointed in myself when I do. And so I wanted to be transparent and honest about that, both for myself, most importantly, and for the ecosystem who might follow me. So that's that, gang. Take care of yourselves. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy St. Patty's Day. And hope you all have a great day. It's another beautiful day here in Wisconsin. It's going to be close to 70, they're telling me, which is nuts for mid-March. And we'll take it, though. We're excited about it. Good luck out there. Be careful. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And be well. Catch you tomorrow or Monday.